My name is Chestin Salisbury. I'm one of the co-founders here at Badass Clinicians with Dr. Natty Banasek. And we are on a mission to help 100 performance-based physical therapy clinics hit $1 million in the next 5 years. And over the next 10 years, our goal is to help 1,000 of those clinics to reach $1 million plus. Today, I want to talk about I want to share with you 10 criteria that if I were in your shoes, I would consider when thinking about hiring a growth partner. Now, first of all, why would you consider hiring a growth agency? Well, first of all, you're great at what you do, and you just want to do more of it. You've got the skills, you've got the knowledge to help people, to help them get results, to help them rehab from injuries, to get them back on the field, back on the court as quickly as possible, but also better than they were and stay there so that they don't get re-injured. I know that's a big concern with a lot of athletes specifically, is that they don't want to go through this rehab process again. So they want to make sure that when they get back to the field, the chances of re-injury are very small. They've completed their treatments. They've gotten to a point to where, their muscles, their joints are stronger, better than they were, and that the chances of re-injury are limited. At the same time, you're busy managing your clinic. You've got a team. You've got, you're treating patients. You've got to deal with all the headaches of managing your staff, making sure the culture is right. You've got finances you've got to worry about. You've got insurances. You've got a building you've got to take care of. And so there's a lot of moving parts and pieces that take up your time and attention. And so you want to be able to grow your agency and be able to focus on those things, but know that you have a steady, consistent stream of patients coming through the door, of quality leads that you can convert to patients. And then you're able to move those patients through to completed, treatment plans. You've got great referrals. You're building those brand ambassadors. But unfortunately, marketing today is moving really fast. Again, I've been in this game for 15 plus years, and I've seen so many changes in terms of, what's the focus, what's the emphasis, websites, SEO, social media, the growth of social media now today, the growth of AI and what that can do, what it can mean for your clinic. And it's moving so fast, and it's really difficult for you as a clinician, as a business owner, to keep up with all of those things and make sure you're doing things the right way and how they should be done. And ultimately, you just want peace of mind to know that your clinic can grow consistently and predictably. So you're in that position, you're up late at night, you can't sleep, you get up early, you come in, you're there all day, you're trying to grow your clinic, and yet you just don't see that consistent, steady stream of quality leads that you can convert into patients. Or maybe you're getting those, but you're not able to convert those into patients and then ultimately, grow your business. And so these are the reasons why you would probably consider hiring a growth agency. And it's not a bad idea. Hiring someone to take that burden off, to help you generate consistent, predictable leads is a great route to go. However, in doing so, you want to make sure that you're careful and mindful of a couple of important things so that as you do that, you're moving your clinic forward and not setting yourself back, and that you're not setting yourself up for failure. Because unfortunately, as you may have experienced, a lot of marketing or growth agencies, their primary concern is collecting that monthly retainer check. They want to get that big fee up front, and then they just want to continue that for as long as they can. But a lot of times their processes don't work, their systems aren't delivering results. And so ultimately you end up starting back at the beginning, trying to find the right growth partner. And so hopefully by sharing these criteria, by sharing these tips, you can avoid this, and you can make sure that when you go into that relationship, that you are prepared, that you know what to ask for, you know what to look for, and that you're making sure you're hiring the right partner for your clinic. So what are some of the goals and objectives when hiring this growth agency? Aside from all the things that we talked about, you want to generate quality leads. You want to increase the volume of high quality leads and get leads that will actually convert into patients. You don't want to waste your time on the front end dealing with people that aren't qualified, can't afford your fee, your prices. They're not willing to do the work required. They don't understand the relationship and the position that you have and the benefit that you can bring. And so you want to make sure that you're generating leads that understand all of that so that you can ultimately bring them in, show them how you can help, that they can understand the value that you bring to their journey, and that you really are the trusted advisor, the trusted source that they're looking for. You want enhanced brand visibility. Brand is huge. I come from the school of direct response marketing where, it used to be, brand building was kind of an afterthought, where it just happened as a result of doing effective marketing. And while that's still the case, given the rise of social media, given the rise of the the media personalities, and the way that you as a business owner, you as a clinician can become your own brand is becoming even more and more important. When we think about the big respected companies across in the marketplace today, we think of brands like Apple or Amazon, Tesla, things like that people buy those products and services in a lot of cases just because of the name. There's been some buzz on Twitter lately I've seen where, Elon Musk is kind of hinting at putting out a phone. I guarantee you that people would buy that phone regardless of what it can do simply because Elon Musk's name is behind it. That's the power of a brand. When Steve Jobs was running Apple, people would line up out the door and around the corner to get the latest iPhone, even though they had the previous version. And the latest upgrade, yeah, sure, it had a few improvements, but it wasn't that much better, that much more, such that they needed to shell out $1,000 or several $1,000s to get the latest phone. But people do that because of the brand that has been built. And so you as a business owner want to build that type of brand that people associate you with quality, with results, with improved performance, with success in the rehab, et cetera, et cetera. And in doing that, you want to reach across multiple channels so that you can increase your reach. Another thing, another objective is probably you want to optimize your patient acquisition process. You want to streamline that lead conversion from that initial contact to booking an appointment, to coming in for that DV, to doing that initial evaluation, and ultimately purchasing that plan of care. And so you want to create a streamlined, optimized process where you can convert the maximum number of leads across that patient journey, so that at each step of the way, you're converting a high number of those prospects into that next step in the process, which ultimately will lead to plan of care, which ultimately results in revenue, which means you can grow, which means you can hire more staff or bring on more associate PTs, all those things that you need to do. You want to minimize also the drop-offs and ensure that no leads are lost through the cracks, because every single dollar that you spend as a small business owner is valuable. And so you want to make sure that every single lead eyeball interaction that you create, that you're able to maximize the value of that and convert as many of those as possible into patients, or at the very least get some referrals that they then turn into new patients through your door. You want to increase patient retention and referrals. You want to maximize those completed plans of care, and you want to minimize that patient drop off, so that when someone comes through and someone actually decides that you are the service provider that they want to work with, you want to make sure that you're completing as many of those treatment plans as possible and minimizing that drop off, because that's what ultimately creates those brand champions. If you have a high rate of drop off in terms of your treatment plans, that's going to reflect poorly in the feedback that you get in the brand that you're building, because you're going to have this population of people that have started the process but haven't finished, and it's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. They're not going to give those positive that positive feedback. They're not going to provide those referrals. They're not going to be a source you can go to continue growing your business. You, at the same time, you want to foster those relationships with your existing patients. So when someone does have a good experience, when they have an amazing, treatment, they enjoy coming to your clinic, they enjoy working with your PTs. You want to create those experiences such that at the end, you create those brand champions, because those brand champions ultimately are what's going to help you grow your brand and strengthen the brand name that you have. And then lastly, ideally, you want to build sustainable growth systems. You want to implement scalable marketing systems for long-term growth. You want to have SOPs or playbooks, like we call them, and processes that your team can follow. And ultimately, you want to proactively be able to manage and grow your clinic. Unfortunately, a lot of times when we hire, when clinicians hire a growth agency, it's simply to do one thing. It's just to get them more leads, get them more patients. And yes, while that's important, if you as a business owner don't learn how to do that yourself, you're always going to be tied to some external vendor, some external source to grow your clinic. And so you as a clinician, you as a business owner, need to learn the skill of proactively growing your clinic. You need to learn not necessarily all the details, all the nuts and bolts, but you need to learn the processes, the systems, the strategies, the tools that will allow you then to go out and, number one, hire people to do that for you, but also hold them accountable so that you know that they're doing their job and they're doing it right. You need to be able to understand what they're doing so that you can help them make decisions, so that you can look at the numbers and understand what they're saying, so that you can look at the different media channels and know which ones are going to be best for you, so that you can look at what's happening, know what type of content you need to create, what types of steps or systems or processes you need to put in place, so that again, you are in complete control of your growth. You're not dependent upon some outside source to tell you what you need to grow your clinic. You know, you know what things need to happen, and then you can direct, you can give them marching orders, so to speak. You can make requests that are going to help you to generate more leads, convert those leads, create brand champions of patients that have been through your treatment process and have come out the back end with excellent results and are satisfied with their entire experience. So as we go through this, again, these are 10 things that I would consider, if I were in your shoes, that I would recommend, having my experience, having been in this industry, having been a marketing agency, and having a business where we help clinicians grow their business. These are the 10 things that I think you should strongly consider when looking at a growth partner or a marketing agency to help you grow your clinic. The first one, they understand performance-based PT clinics. Having niche expertise, understanding who you are, who your ideal patient is, what you're trying to accomplish, the type of people that you want to come in is absolutely critical, because that is going to form the overall strategy in terms of getting attention, in terms of owning that attention, nurturing and educating those leads, ultimately moving them through your patient journey. And so you have to be able to speak the language. You have to use the words that they understand. You have to understand their goals and objectives, because that's then going to help you create content, create systems, create processes that are going to ultimately move them through that patient journey from being a cold lead all the way down to that brand champion once they're done with their treatment. They need to understand, obviously, common PT services and treatments. They need to have familiarity with industry-specific regulations and compliance. Unfortunately, where we're at in the U.S. here, healthcare is highly regulated, and so you need to make sure they understand what those regulations are, what those requirements are, to make sure that you're always in compliance. You don't ever want to do anything that's going to put you at risk, to have to come up, in front of your association, your boards, and be questioned for what you're doing. You never want to have those ethics, allegations come out. And so you need to make sure that the person that's in charge of your marketing, that's ultimately helping you grow your brand, get your name out there, is doing things in such a way that it's not going to get you in trouble. And then again, lastly, just understanding your patient demographics and behaviors. Knowing who you're trying to work with, what their goals and objectives are, what the problems and the pain points that they have, what are the things that are going to stop them from getting good results, what are the questions that they have before they come in. So having that deep knowledge of who it is that you're trying to go after is absolutely critical to making sure that, number one, once you get started, you can get up and running as quickly as possible, that you don't have to take them through this learning curve of learning your business and learning your industry and learning your patients and your demographics and all those things. And so working with a growth agency that understands performance-based PT clinics is critical. We've worked with several clients that have been with other companies that were PT-specific companies, but they were more occupational therapy. They were more workplace injuries. They're dealing with grandmas and grandpas that have different concerns and different problems and different challenges in their life than athletes, high-end athletes, high school, college, professional athletes that are very focused, very driven. And so the content that they produced, the way that they outmarketed and advertised just didn't mesh with the type of patients that they are trying to attract. And so when you work with an agency that understands performance-based clinics, you shortcut that whole process and you can get right to the heart of what needs to happen, the message that needs to be delivered, the way it needs to be delivered, the types of sequences and content and nurturing materials and scripts that need to be created can be shortcutted, can be accelerated, so to speak, so that you can get results quicker. All right, criteria number 2, they take the time to understand your clinic. Aside from just understanding your general industry and who it is you're trying to go after, performance-based PT clinics, you want to make sure they take the time to understand your clinic, your culture, your messaging, your branding, the way that you present yourself, the culture that you're creating. And so you want to make sure that they give you the personalized attention necessary to create customized marketing strategies tailored to your clinic's unique needs. Even though you're in the performance-based space, maybe you focus on golf, golf. Maybe it's tennis. Maybe it's runners. Maybe it's professional, athletes, football players, so to speak. I know Natty works a lot with the New York Giants, New York Jets players. He's had several of those athletes come through his doors and work with him. And so understanding your target market, you specifically, the types of clients that you want to work with, and then being able to adjust the marketing to address that, to go after those people, to speak their language, to say things that they understand. Understanding, having an in-depth knowledge of your clinic's strengths and weaknesses. What are you really good at? What are the services that you provide that deliver exceptional results? What are the specific injuries that you're really good at treating? Understanding all of those things, again, are going to help tailor that messaging, help tailor the strategy, the tools, the processes, the systems that need to be applied to deliver the best results. Alignment with your clinic's visions and goals. Again, understanding you as a founder. What is your mission? What is your vision? What are your goals? And then adjusting those, again, systems, processes, campaigns, content, tools, resources, scripts, so that they match that every time something goes out, that it's saying the right things, it's using the right tone, it's using the right words, the right language. And so you want to make sure that you work with someone that takes the time to understand who you are, your processes, your vision, your goals, the brand that you're trying to build. Now, just speaking from us, for what we do, anytime we bring on a new client, we have what's called our business growth engine assessment. And this is a detailed, thorough, high level, but also very detailed analysis that we do of your clinic to understand who you are. Yes, we look at all the kind of the technical aspects of your marketing, of the attention that you're generating, the things that you're putting out in the marketplace. But we also get down here and we look at who are you as a clinic. Again, what's your message? What's your vision? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to put out in the marketplace so that you can then attract the right types of patients, so that you can bring them to the door, so that when you sit down with them to have that initial conversation, that you're speaking their language, you're saying the things that they want to hear, you're answering the objections that they have before they even get to them, because you know what they are. You're presenting your culture, you're helping them understand what they're going to get when they come through the door. And so this is a very detailed process that we go through right at the beginning of every single client journey that we go through, so to speak, so that we can get a good understanding of who you are as a clinic. We understand performance-based PT clinics, but we don't understand your clinic. And so we want to make sure that we understand exactly who you are, the message that you want to get out, what services do you want to focus on, what injuries do you specialize in, who are the types of athletes that you work with, so that we can make sure that we tailor all of the marketing, all of the messaging, all of the material to fit you and your brand and the types of patients that you want to attract. Along that note, criteria number 3, they don't try to cram you into their preferred ads. We've talked with many, many clinicians that have worked with another agency, and understand agencies' objectives are to get you results as quickly as possible, which is great because you want to get that return on your investment as quickly as possible. So I get that. I'm not knocking that. However, oftentimes what ends up happening is the agencies will say, well, you need to run this ad because it's worked so well for all these other people. But the problem is that ad may not be your preferred service. It may not be the thing that you're best at. It may not attract the right patients to you. And so you want to make sure that when you go into these relationships, they're not trying to cram you immediately into their preferred ads, that they're adaptable to the different ad platforms. Maybe most of your audience is on, Facebook. Maybe it's on Instagram. Maybe it's on TikTok. Maybe it's on X. Whatever that platform is, you want to make sure that they adapt their campaigns to where your audience is currently, where your ideal patient is hanging out. You also want to make sure that they're creating custom ad content that resonates with your target audience. Again, just because it worked for another clinic doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. So yes, they should have frameworks. They should have solutions in place, but they should also be flexible enough to be able to tweak and adjust those to suit your brand, to suit your messaging, to suit the things that you're trying to accomplish and the patients that you're trying to reflect. Because again, everything you put out in the marketplace reflects on your brand and your values. And so you want to make sure that whatever is going out, whatever type of marketing they're doing, whatever campaigns they're running, whatever content they're creating, matches your brand, matches your voice, matches your message, and ultimately your values. Because again, that's how you build that big brand that people respect, that people want to do business with just because of the name that you've created. I can tell you one thing. So, as an example, one thing we do, let me show you. So, we have in our CRM platform, and full transparency, it's a white label version of Go High Level that we've customized for performance based PT clinics. But we have a series of campaigns that we've created. And so acupuncture, performance training, physical therapy, runners, stretch therapy, shockwave, we have probably a half dozen or so more that we're adding here. But inside each of these, we have different campaigns that we've created, and we use these as a starting point. So this is not the end product, but this is a starting point that we use, and we work with you as a clinician to figure out, okay, how do we need to tweak this? How do we need to adjust this? Where do you want to start? Like what are the services that you provide that we really want to focus on? And so we have a number, again, of these campaigns. We're constantly adding to these, and we create custom campaigns for our clients because every clinic is different. Every founder is different. And so we want to make sure that the messages we're delivering match you, match the voice that you're trying to put out, so that, again, you can build that brand and create that name for yourself in the marketplace that people respect, that people want to do business with. Number 4, they focus on multiple lead gen channels. There's so many agencies today that specialize in one service. And while that's okay, it makes their job a whole lot easier. You as a business owner need to focus on multiple lead gen channels. Yes, you might have a big following on Instagram. Yes, you may have, a popular YouTube channel. Maybe you don't do any of that stuff and you do most of yours through offline, marketing, referrals, clubs, et cetera, et cetera. And so you do a lot of email marketing. A good growth partner, one that's going to ultimately empower you to take control of your marketing, is going to focus on multiple channels to generate those leads. Utilizing, all the various online and offline channels for lead generation. They're going to integrate all of those things together so that whatever you do offline is going to match what you do online. What your website says, your social media reflects that. The emails that you send out are reflective of your brand. And so you want to make sure that I would suggest you choose a partner that takes into account all of the many lead gen channels that are available. There's so many that are out there today. You've got your website, you've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter. You've got TikTok, you've got YouTube, you've got LinkedIn. So you have all of these online channels, but you also have your website and SEO. So how well is your website ranking in the organic search, but also in the local search? If you go to Google, and let me just do that right now. Let me show you while we're live. Let's do ACL rehab, and I'm just located just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. So let's see what this looks like. So here we go. So when someone searches ACL rehab in Charlotte, we've got, Luna Physical Therapy. Kudos to them. They're ranking here at the top. But you also have these other organic results. But then if you go down just a little bit more, you have these business listings. And then ultimately down here, you have what's called the local 3-pack. So there's all these different factors, all these different places where you could show up when someone is looking. You want to make sure that whoever you're working with is taking this into consideration, that is thinking about how can we get you visibility, not just on the paid ad platforms, but also on these free sources where these are some of the best quality leads you can get if you can show up here. And so you want to make sure that you are working with an agency. Maybe they don't do that, but that's something that you want to consider. And so, as you're thinking about how do I spread out my marketing dollars, how do I get the most bang for my buck, working with an agency that understands that, has resources, maybe it's connections, and they can help you get into those other places to increase your visibility online, is going to help you ultimately generate more leads, convert more patients. You also want, again, it all factors together, online and offline. And so whatever they're doing online, are they then taking into consideration how can we utilize these tools or these systems or these processes offline as well, so that we can make sure that we're maximizing the effectiveness, we're maximizing the reach of this marketing content, this marketing system that we're doing, so that you can pull in leads from all these different sources. Dan Kennedy, Natty talks about him all the time. He's one of our favorite mentors, but he says, I would rather have 100 different channels giving me one lead as opposed to one channel giving me 100 leads. Because if that one channel with 100 leads gets turned off, you're SOL. And so you want to diversify those lead gen efforts. Make sure that you're reaching as many of those as you can, as effectively and efficiently as you can, to maximize the number of leads that you can ultimately bring. And it insulates you, so to speak, from being shut down from a platform. Let's say, Google decides to change their algorithm again for the, umpteenth time, and your website is no longer showing up on the first page. You have all these other sources, that if you've been focusing on them, that you can generate leads from while you try to figure out what's going on with Google and get yourself back up to the top. Maybe something happens in Instagram and they decide to shut down your account, or they shadow ban you, or whatever the case may be, and your posts are no longer showing up. They're not showing up in those feeds of your followers. What are you going to do? Well, if you haven't diversified those lead gen channels, you're not in a good spot until you can figure that out. And so maximizing those lead channels, online, offline, paid, free, organic, is critical to making sure that you're maximizing the effectiveness of all of your marketing. And then ultimately, again, you want to track those. So you want to make sure that they're not just focusing on those, but they're helping you understand, where are my leads coming from? What are my most effective channels? Where can I do better? Where do my best patients come from? What can I do to help improve those? And so continuously testing and optimizing your efforts across all of those channels is what's ultimately going to insulate you. It's going to give you that foundation that you need in order to effectively grow your business for the long term. On that note, again, leading into this next one, they're helping you maximize your free lead sources. Look, I love paid ads. Paid ads are fantastic because you can get results really quick. Nowadays with Facebook, Google, even YouTube's algorithms, their targeting options, you can get in front of your ideal patient very quickly. We could set up a campaign now, and in 30 minutes, you could have an ad in front of your ideal patients. That being said, you don't want to neglect those free sources. Things like your social media channel, your website. One of the biggest most underutilized is your Google business profile. Again, that's what's going to show up, when someone searches in this local search results. This is ultimately going to be your Google business profile. This right here. This is an amazing source of free qualified leads. And so you want to make sure that you're maximizing this to the highest extent possible. We have a free course, the ultimate guide to your Google business profile, that can help you optimize your Google business profile to make sure that, number one, it's not just showing up, but number two, it's actually generating leads for you. One thing to understand, talking about, different lead acquisition channels, we have social media and we have organic. Social media is what we call lead generation or demand generation, meaning people don't go to Facebook, people don't go to Instagram, people don't necessarily go to X, TikTok to find a business. They're there to socialize. They're there to kind of waste time. They're there to see what's going on with their family or friends, catch up on the news, whatever the case may be. And so when you show up in those places, you're actually interrupting them, and you're trying to generate demand. You're trying to help them understand that they have a problem, or maybe they already know they have a problem, but you're trying to present yourself as the solution to that problem. And so those leads are there for the purpose, not necessarily for the purpose of finding a business, but maybe they go there and they have a need or a want or something they've been thinking about, and they find you. That's a very different conversation from what happens when someone goes to Google and they're actually actively searching for your services. People are here because they have a problem and they're looking for a solution. And so when they come here, the language that you use, the way that you talk to them is very different. You can be more aggressive than you can on social media because people are here for a solution. They're here to solve a problem. And so we need to understand that, and we want to take advantage of that as best we can using these free sources that we have. And so, you want to make sure that the agency that you're working with understands this difference between demand generation and demand fulfillment, that they know how to speak the language, that they're able to maximize your presence on both of those, so that, and again, talking about free lead sources, so that when you are out there, when you're creating content, when you're putting things on your social media, that you're maximizing the opportunity to create conversations, to engage with potential patients, and ultimately build that relationship, show them that you are the service provider that they've been looking for, nurture and educate them to the point to where they can become a patient. And so, is the agency that you're considering, are they going to help you maximize those free lead sources? Are they going to help you get visibility with your Google Business Profile? Are they going to help you, get your website ranked at the top of those search results? But also, are they going to be able to help you to engage the social media followers that you have, those free platforms that you have, and then also offline as well? Just thinking about all the different sources that we have. Are they going to be able to help you maximize your offline efforts? Going to clubs or teams, local, in your local area, doing events, community events. If there's opportunities there to help or to serve in those different those different events, are they going to help you take the content that's been created for, maybe it's a paid channel, or maybe it's social media? Can they help you strategize how to best utilize that content, those systems, that material, to then create leads from those offline areas or offline events, or things that you're going to? And so, definitely something to consider as you're thinking about hiring an agency. Number 6, they help you nurture leads through the entire patient journey. Again, this goes back to understanding the industry, but also understanding your clinic. Do they understand your patient journey? What's the process that someone goes through from the first time they contact you, however they come in contact with you, all the way through those different engagements? Maybe it's the initial discovery call, maybe it's the initial discovery visit, the initial evaluation. What are those different stages that happen on that patient's journey? Do they understand that? And can they help you nurture those leads all the way through that entire patient journey? Do they use some type of a CRM tool to help you track and manage those patient interactions? Are they able to help you create SOPs, playbooks for those different stages in that journey? Are they able to personalize those messages to help you, again, say the right things at the right times in the right way to your ideal audience, so that you can ultimately position yourself as the expert, position yourself as the authority, build a relationship and the trust necessary to help convert them into a patient? Again, one of the things that we do when we first start with our clients is we actually map out their entire patient journey. This is kind of a high level. This is a kind of a generic one, but this visual display shows every single step in a clinic's journey, a particular clinic's journey, from when they first create that attention, to owning that attention, to booking a discovery call. What happens, from that discovery call to that discovery visit? What are the steps? What are the things that happen to that initial visit, to booking that plan of care? And even then, once they book that plan of care, what happens at every step of the way during that actual fulfillment of that treatment plan? What are the different steps and processes that happen and take place? And so, working with an agency that can dig down and understand your clinic, your processes, your checkpoints along that journey, and then help you create the appropriate systems and messaging and content for those, to, again, systematically, ideally automatically move those patients from one step in the journey to the next, all the way through that patient journey, from when they first become a lead, all the way down until when they complete that treatment and hopefully become a brand champion. Are they taking the time to understand that, and then create tools, systems, processes to help you move them systematically through that journey? And then what happens if someone falls off? Let's say they get to a discovery visit, but they don't book that initial eval. Are they helping you account for those? Are they helping you track those? Are they helping you develop systems to be able to then continue nurturing and educating and building that relationship with that prospect, so that they ultimately end up booking that initial evaluation? They're overcoming price objections. They're helping them understand what the process is going to look like. They're answering the questions that they have that are holding them back from moving forward. Does the agency take the time to understand that patient journey and help you create or provide resources that's going to help you and your team to be able to systematically move them from one step in that journey to the next. The next thing you should look for, number 7, they hold you and your team be accountable. And this ultimately means all these different processes, all these different systems that we're creating, are they helping you and your team to be accountable? In other words, one of the most important things that when it comes to generating leads is, we call it speed to lead, but how quickly are you getting back to those new leads? Are they helping you and your team stay accountable, or are they dependent upon you to track those metrics and be able to adjust as needed? Now, ultimately, you want to be able to do that. You should be doing that yourself if you want to ultimately take control of your marketing. But if you don't know how, if you don't have the appropriate systems and processes in place right now to be able to do that, are they helping you create those systems? Are they helping you create those processes, those scripts, those playbooks that you and your team follow? And then also, are they checking up to see how well you're doing? One of the things that we do with our clients is we give them a tracking number. And so any new lead that comes in, or any phone call, any lead that comes in, no matter how they come in, how quickly is your team getting back to that lead? And so one of the things that we do is we actually will go in and listen to calls that come through. We'll see, well, first of all, we check to see how long did it take for them to get back to that lead. And then second of all, how well is your team following the scripts that you've created? So we'll listen to those calls and we'll see what's being said, about during that conversation to make sure they're following the scripts. And if they're not following the scripts, it's not that we're going to get down on it, but it presents an opportunity for training. It's an opportunity for you as a business owner to go to that team member and say, hey, look, okay, here's the deal. Here's our script. You didn't really follow it. Let's work on this. Here's some things we can do. Let's role play it. If we need to role play, if we need to get on training with your team members to help them work through those scripts to be able to answer the phone effectively, we can certainly do that. But that's something that you should take into consideration when working with a growth agency is, are they going to help you and your team be accountable to the metrics, to the scripts, to the processes that have been laid out? Because those systems and processes are there for a reason. They're there because they're effective and they work when followed. And so how well are you and your team following these systems and processes? Are you looking at the metrics? Are you making adjustments accordingly based on the results of those different metrics? And so how well is that agency helping you and your team to actually adapt the system that's been created? You invest lots of time and money to create and implement the system, but if it's not being used, all of that goes for naught. And so this agency, initially, to help you get up to speed and help you grow in your role as a business owner, should be willing to help you and your team be accountable to those systems, be accountable to the numbers, be accountable to the scripts and the playbooks that have been created, because again, they've been created for a reason. They work. And if they don't, what do we need to adjust? What do we need to tweak so that they do work? And so making sure that your agency partner is going to help you do that is an important consideration, because that is ultimately going to help you maximize the investment of time and money in implementing this type of a system. If you're not willing to put in the time and effort, if they're not willing to help you learn, get through this learning curve and become a true business owner, again, all of that investment, time and money will be for naught, because you'll have this system. It's great. It's fantastic. But if nobody's using it, what good does it do you? Next, they should hold their efforts accountable. As an agency, you should be getting from this growth partner, you should be getting regular reporting and reports on marketing performance and ROI in terms of time and money spent. There should be transparent communication about success and areas for improvement. Ultimately, they should be committed to helping you make data-driven decisions. If they're telling you to run another Facebook ad campaign or to increase the budget, what are the reasons why? Why are we doing this? There should be transparency in that, and they should be willing to hold themselves accountable and address problems when they arise. Look at opportunities to improve and make improvements on their end. They should be willing to come in and adjust campaigns or adjust strategies, adjust tactics as needed to deliver those results. And so, is this agency partner willing to hold themselves accountable? Because I can tell you, in most cases, when we come in, things are not perfect right out of the gate. There are adjustments that need to be made. There are campaigns that just completely flop. There are campaigns that do okay, but could do better. And so are they transparent about that? Are they communicating with you about the results, but then also areas for improvement so that collectively you can create a solution that works long term? Again, the goal should be to create a system that works for you long term, that gives you the ability to grow your business proactively, something that you control. And so having someone that is willing to pull back the curtain, so to speak, and give you the information that you need so that ultimately you can make good decisions is absolutely critical to make sure that you have a system, a process, the know-how going forward to be able to manage and grow your business on your own. I say on your own, you know what's going on and you're able to make decisions because of that. And so you want to make sure the agency you work with is willing to give you that knowledge, transfer those skills and that know-how that you need to ultimately be able to make those decisions on your own. Number 9, they help you implement sustainable systems. One of the challenges of a lot of marketing agencies is that they come in and they want to control the entire process. They want you to be dependent upon them. And so, they want to, I'm sorry, scratch that. Yes, that's the next one. They want to help. When they come in, are they helping you implement sustainable systems? And what I mean by sustainable systems are systems that work with your business now, but also can grow as your clinic grows. So as your objectives change, as your team changes, especially as your culture grows, as your brand improves, as your clinic scales in size, are these systems that are being implemented sustainable? Will they work today, tomorrow, next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road until you ultimately decide that it's time for you to exit? Are these things that are only today that can account for changes in the marketplace or changes in the way that marketing is done or changes in, whatever the popular social media channel is, changes in, acquisition channels, algorithm changes, new services, new ways of doing things, an improved process? Do these systems account for those changes and the changes that will undeniably come down the road? Are they training you and your team? Are they showing you how the systems work and how they kind of work together, mesh together, but also how they can be adjusted and tweaked? Are they training you and your team? Are they giving you the skills necessary to continuously improve and refine those systems? Again, undertaking a process like this is infinitely valuable for the value and the success of your clinic. But if these systems can't grow and adapt with your clinic as you grow and scale, then you're always going to be on this hamster wheel, so to speak, of implementing new systems, implementing new processes. And so you want to make sure that right up front, the systems and the processes that are being implemented in your clinic are things that will grow with you long term. Because yes, it's an investment up front, but you don't want to have to make that investment every couple of years. You want to make sure that when you invest in a system and a process like this, that it's something that will grow and scale with your clinic. That's going to allow you to ultimately remove yourself from the process, be a true CEO of your clinic, and know that you can do that because you have systems and processes in place. Your team knows how to use them. You have, playbooks for each step in the process, but you also know that you can adjust and tweak those as needed as things change. And so, that's a big factor when considering a growth agency. Is most business owners go into an engagement like this thinking, this is the one time I'm going to do this, and it should be that way. Unfortunately, that's not the case because for a lot of these, reasons that we've already gone through, they're just not scalable. They're not adaptable to your clinic. And so up front, I would do as much research as you can. I would understand as intimately as you can, is this a system that's going to give me a foundation I can work with for many years to come? Is my team going to be able to take these tools, these processes, these systems, and deliver excellent service, generate lots of leads, convert those leads, and deliver excellent results for our patients to ultimately create those brand champions. And if it's not something, if you don't see the ability to how you can adjust and tweak this as your clinic grows, as the marketplace changes, as marketing itself changes, I would strongly question the value of that investment, because again, you don't want to have to go through this process every couple of years. Ideally, it's a one-time thing. You come in, you build this foundation, you install these systems, these tools, these processes, and it's such that you can change and adjust them as you go forward, as your clinic grows. And then the last one here, as I already started talking about, is ultimately it empowers you to ultimately take control of your marketing. And as I was saying, a lot of agencies, unfortunately, their goal is to get into your business and simply, collect that retainer month after month after month. They want to do their thing, and they want you dependent upon them. Not to say that you don't want someone doing those for you. Maybe you don't want to hire, an internal marketing person. You'd rather just outsource that. That's fine. But you need to make sure that you know what's going on so that you can hire the right agency. Or ultimately, if you do decide to bring it in-house, that you're bringing in the right person, that they have the right skill sets to manage this system, to manage this processes. So you want to make sure that there's training programs, to build your and your team's internal marketing capabilities, that there's tools and resources to help you manage your marketing activities independent of them. They encourage you to take it allows you to take a proactive approach to your marketing. And ultimately, the goal should be for you as a clinic owner to ultimately remove that dependency on an outside agency so that you can run all of your own ads. You can do your own SEO. You can create your own content. You can create SOPs. You can adjust your system as needed internally without having to go outside. Now, that's not to say that you won't, but when you do that, you have the knowledge, you have the requisite skills to be able to make a good decision. You know how to read the data. You know how to look at the system and see what needs to happen to deliver the results that we're trying to achieve. You know how to grow and scale this system as your clinic grows and scales. And so, this ultimately, I think, should be probably your number one objective when hiring an external agency to help you with your marketing. You ultimately want to be able to take control of your marketing. You want to be in charge of your growth. You don't want to be dependent on an outside source to be able to deliver you leads, help you nurture and convert those leads, create those, ultimately convert those into patients. You want to be in control of every single step in that process. And when I say be in control, you need to know what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, how it needs to happen, so that you are ultimately, it's all on you, so that you're not dependent upon some outside source. Because at the end of the day, as a business owner, we're all trying to achieve control in every aspect of our business. We know it never really happens, but the more areas that you can take ownership of so that you can be proactive and make good data-driven decisions for your business, the more successful you're going to be. And so anytime you go into a relationship like this, keep that in mind. Your goal should be to ultimately to take control of your marketing, of your growth, and to be able to do it proactively. And so go into this as a student. Work with an agency that is going to pull back the curtains, that's going to expose everything to you, that's going to give you the proper training that you need, that's going to show you how things work, that's going to teach you how to strategize and think through campaigns and visibility, lead nurture sequences, that's going to teach you how to create those internally or empower you and your team to be able to do that. Because again, it's a horrible place to be trying to grow a business, but knowing that in order to do so, you have to rely on some third party that their biggest interest is collecting that retainer every single month. And so have that mindset when you go into this, that you want to work with a partner that truly is a partner, that isn't just an outside vendor that is looking to provide a service and collect a retainer check. Work with someone that's going to give you the skills, the abilities, the knowledge necessary to be able to take proactive control of your marketing, because that ultimately is how you're going to be able to create this vision, fulfill this vision that you imagined, I'm sure, when you first opened your doors, of a business that grows and scales, that gives you the time and the money and the flexibility that you need, that you want to be able to live the life that you desire. So I hope this helps. Again, real quick, make sure that they understand performance-based PT clinics. They take the time to understand your clinic, your unique needs, your target, your ideal target patient. They're not going to cram you into their preferred ads, but they're willing to adjust based on who you are, where you're at, your goals, and your objectives. They focus on multiple lead channels. They're not just doing one thing for your clinic, because then you're going to have someone to do all these other things. And so working with an agency that is broad in terms of their reach and their skill sets to be able to give you maximum visibility to help you generate and maximum number of leads so that you can grow your clinic. They help you maximize the free lead sources. There's so many that are available today. And if you're not taking advantage of them, you're missing out. You're paying money for leads for patients that you don't need to because of all these free lead sources. And so make sure that who you work with understands these and has a plan in place to help you maximize your visibility, the amount of leads and patients that you get from them. They help you nurture leads through the entire patient journey. So they understand each step in your process, from when you first generate a lead all the way through when they complete their treatment plan. They know what needs to happen at each step in the way so that they can help you create the appropriate systems, tools, processes, content for each of those steps to maximize your conversion at each step in the process and ultimately create a large number of brand champions on the back end. They help you and your team be accountable. They're willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work. They're willing to look at the numbers. They're willing to, work with your team, with you and your team, to help you get better, to help you improve at these systems and processes, so that you can ultimately have a foundation and something that's going to help you grow and scale for the long term. They also hold their own efforts accountable. They're willing to look at their results. They're willing to look at the things that they're doing, have conversations with you, look at the numbers, see how well they're doing, have honest conversations with you. They're not going to hide things, but they're going to be upfront. They're going to be willing to dig into the numbers and the results and see what they can do on their end to help you improve your results and ultimately give you a system that you can use and control for many years to come. They help you implement sustainable systems. Again, it's not something that you're going to implement today and you're going to have to change in a year or two, but it's something that you can use and grow, that will grow with you and your business as your clinic scales. And then lastly, they empower you to ultimately take control of your marketing. They help you develop the skills, learn the things that you need to learn, have the mindset appropriate that's necessary to be able to ultimately own your marketing, own your growth, so that you can proactively make decisions, so that you can give directions, you can create strategies that are ultimately going to help you grow your clinic. So I appreciate if anyone has any questions, or if you would like to start the process, we offer a free strategy call. You could simply go to badassclinicians.com/blueprint. Here we go. Here's a little video about our service and how we help and exactly what we do. And you could schedule a free call right here to talk through this process, to talk about your clinic and how it might ultimately help. If you're interested in doing an assessment, where are you at? How well are you doing at marketing your business? We offer this growth assessment for free. Just go to badassclinicians.com/assessment. And you can download a copy here. You can go through. It's almost 200 questions that we ask. So it's very detailed, very thorough. It will give you a very good idea of where you're at and the things that you can do to improve, to generate more leads, convert more leads into patients, create those brand champions on the back end. And then, of course, there is our podcast. YouTube.com/Badass Clinicians, I believe, is the channel. But we have lots of videos, lots of content to help. We talk about different aspects of growing a clinic, what it means to truly be a clinic CEO, the different challenges and the journey that you go through. So hop over there if you're interested in consuming some of that. I appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully at some point we'll have an opportunity to have a conversation about your clinic, what you're doing, the things, the areas that you see, the opportunities you see for improvement, the challenges that you're facing, and maybe we can come up with some strategies to help you overcome those. So I appreciate it, and stay tuned to this channel. We will be, every week we're going to go live and just share different ideas and different strategies, different things that we can do, that you can do to ultimately take control of your marketing and grow your clinic.